The academic activities at the nation's higher institutions may be disrupted once again as the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, has issued a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to resolve its grievances or face a strike. ASUP President Shama Manja, who disclosed this in Abuja, accused the government of insensitivity to the plight of teachers. ASUP accused the federal government or Federal Ministry of Education of refusing to reconvene the Federal Ministry of Education ASUP Rapid Response Committee meetings, which were formed to address industrial relations challenges in the sector.
Just yesterday, we spoke extensively about this government waiting for last minute before, you know, listening to workers or aggrieved union members. And ASUP is not too popular for making trouble. So when they scream, just know that it is legit. And I hope that government listens to them actually.
Well, what led to that conversation yesterday was the issue of whether the federal government should establish more higher institutions. And one of the points that we made yesterday was that it is no longer necessary. We have federal universities, we have federal polytechnics, we have federal colleges of education that are struggling. You heard what ASUP said. By the time ASU opens its own mouth to talk about its own challenges, you hear things like 2009 agreement, an agreement that was entered into since 2009. In 2025, the federal government is yet to fulfill its own part of that agreement. So why establish more when the ones you have not been able to manage them and fund them accordingly? That was the point we made yesterday. And true to it was like ASUP officials were listening to us. Today, they've issued their own ultimatum that if the federal government fails to do or meet certain demands, agreements that they voluntarily entered into, that they would have no other option than to speak the language the federal government understands, which is strike. I can bet you that there's a 90% possibility that the federal government will not do anything until the ultimatum expires, the 21-day ultimatum expires, or they would wait until the 21st day. That is when the Minister of Education will start calling for meeting. They will now meet from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. trying to avert the strike. We've even seen situations where some ministers would go and announce, hey, after our meeting, the strikes there will no longer be strike, only for the other party to come out to say, that minister, that is not what we discussed though. Until you do so, we are not guaranteeing you anything. So please, can we learn to be proactive as a people? Let's not allow things get out of hand. Let's not allow things get to the point of people downing tools before we do what we ought to do. These allowances, these increments, they did not start yesterday. They were approved years ago. So why is the government dragging its foot to implement this? And this is one of the examples that people who criticize the president for giving the Falcons $100,000 for winning the African Nations Cup, the women version. They cite things like this, that when it comes to certain persons, they get all the attention. But when it comes to certain sectors, the federal government foot drags. We shouldn't be.